Hi knitters, it's Marion and I'm here to walk you through the Debbie Bliss winter blanket knit along. This is going to be great fun. You're going to come out of it with a blanket or a little baby blanket or a throw, and because this KAL is modular, working in little squares, you can make it as big or as small as you like. We're going to learn lots of skills along the way. We're going to learn how to Swiss darn or do duplicate stitch. We're going to learn how to work Intarsia. We're going to learn how to work Fair Isle, and also we're going to make these really cute little hearts and stars using knit and purl stitches. Then we're going to put it all together. I'll just show you some of the really lovely invisible seaming that we've got on these squares to make a beautiful blanket. The yarn we are using is Debbie Bliss Rialto DK. It's a really soft, lofty DK yarn. It's lovely to work with and it's going to make you a gorgeous blanket or a throw. So to start things off, we're going to work on the heart motif, which is this one. Each square is 25 stitches wide and 30 rows deep, so they're not going to take you very long, and there are all kinds of colours to choose from. I have worked mine in this fantastic teal, it's called Mallard, and we have colour packs on Love Crafts for you to choose your colourway. Let's get started. Let's get started with the heart, which is our first square. Now, all of the squares in the KAL are worked from a chart. And if you haven't worked with charts before, don't worry, it's really straightforward. The chart covers this part of the square. It's the part that's inside our 3-stitch, 3-row border. So when we begin, we're going to knit 4 rows actually of garter stitch before we start, and then when we've knitted those 4 rows of garter stitch, the chart begins, and at either side of this chart there are 3 stitches of garter stitch either side. So whether you're working on a right side row or a wrong side row, there are 3 stitches of garter stitch either side. Now this is created by just knitting and purling where you otherwise would have knitted. So down here you've got the key to the chart. It says here, when you've got a blank square like this, it's a knit stitch on the right side and a purl on the wrong side, and on the other where we have these little dashes, it's a purl on the right side and a knit on the wrong side. But we'll do this as we go along. Now, how to read a chart. When you get given a chart like this, and I've printed this off, I've taken the image out of the pattern and enlarged it so that you can see it clearly on this video, you'll notice that it's got numbers going up at both sides. Charts are read from right to left, and this is how we start. We start on the right hand side, and this is our first row of the swatch, and then when we come to the second row we work left to right the other way, and we work along the chart zigzagging all the way up. And you'll find that a good way to remember it is that if you see the number at either side of the chart, that's the start, that's the side you start from. So for example, number 1, row number 1 over here, the number is on the right hand side, so we're going to start right to left, and then row 2 is worked from left to right because the 2 is over there on the left. So the first thing that I've done is I've cast on 25 stitches. Now it doesn't matter how you cast on, because this isn't a garment, it doesn't have to be particularly stretchy or anything. So cast on your 25 stitches, and then the first thing we do is we're going to work 4 rows of garter stitch. Now, so just a little quick reminder, if you need a little knitting reminder, and we have got videos on the channel for how to knit and how to purl, so when you get onto this, if you want to have a refresher, you can. So a knit stitch, we put the needle underneath the stitch, so into the stitch and under the needle, bring your yarn around the needle, come under and off. So we go in, around, under and off, in, around, under and off. So we're going to work 4 rows of garter stitch, it's the knit stitch, before we start this chart. So I'm going to meet you back here as soon as I have done 4 rows of knitting. Now that I've knitted the 4 rows of knitting, 4 rows of garter stitch, I'm ready to start the chart. And as I said before, these charts, it's a general standard to read them from right to left and then work zigzagging up the chart. So we begin where the number 1 is over here on the right. We're going to start to the right, work along this row, come up to row 2 and work along this row. Well, on row 1, we don't have anything other than just plain knitting. And remember, the key says when you've got a blank one, it's knitting on the right side and purling on the wrong side. So we're on the right side here with row number 1. So this is a knit row. So I'm going to start off knitting the first 3 stitches. Remember, we have the borders either side. So we 1, 2, 3 knit. And then we're going to knit to the last 3 stitches. And obviously, because this is a knit row, they're all knitted, but it's just good to see it as a row like any other. So we work up, and you do this on all of the rows, work up to the last 3 stitches. So the first 3 stitches are knit, and the last 3 stitches are knit. So here we go, coming up now to the last 3 stitches, and the last 3 stitches will always be knit like the first 3 stitches, which will give us that nice garter stitch border. Now we turn around to work row 2 of the chart, and row 2 of the chart begins here on the left hand side, so we're going to work from left to right. The difference is that this row is a purl row. So row 2, we're on the wrong side of the work, is going to be a purl row. So what we do to begin with is we do our 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, to form the garter stitch border. And then we're going to purl across and knit the garter stitch border on the other side. So for purling, bring your yarn to the front of the work, and we put the needle up into the stitch, yarn around, pull down and off. We go up, yarn around, pull under and off, up, around, under and off. And we have a video on the channel just for purling, so you'll be able to go and just have a little brush up on your purl if you need to before you embark on these. All of these squares are stocking stitch or stockinette, and so you will be knitting and purling for all of them. So I'm purling along row 2 until I get to the last 3 stitches. So we're at the last 3 stitches, and the last 3 stitches, to find ourselves with a nice garter stitch border, take the yarn, bring it round to the back of the work, and then knit, as opposed to purl, knit 3. Now just a quick reminder, if you need to just have a think about this, when you knit a knit stitch, it produces a little tiny V like that. Little V's, that's what a knit stitch looks like on the knit side. A purl produces a little bump like that. And what we're going to be doing in this chart is that we're going to be, and this is how the texture is formed, is that you're doing a knit on what would be the purl side and a purl on what would be the knit side. And that causes these little bumps to appear on the opposite sides to create the heart. And on the other side, you can see it there on the back of that swatch. You can see this is the back of the stocking stitch or stockinette, and you can see the little purl bumps appearing on that side. So let's start row 3. So row 3, we're going to begin from right to left. The 3 is over here, so we know we're starting on the right hand side. And we're going to do our 3 garter stitches to do the border over there. And then we're going to knit, 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 knit. And then we come across this little dash in the chart. Looking down at the key, that means that we purl on the right side and knit on the wrong side. And that basically means we're going to put the purl bump on one side or another. So here, that little one, seeing as we're on a right side row, that is a purl stitch. So you're going to knit to here, that's a purl, and then knit to here and do the border. So let's do that. So we begin 1, 2, 3, 4, the border, and then we're going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we knit 9 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then stitch number 10 here is a purl. That's what that little gap means, that little dash there. So I bring the yarn to the front, we purl the next stitch, then take the yarn back to the back, and then we have another 9 stitches before we have the garter stitch border. So I'm going to knit 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we've got to the last 3 stitches and we know that they are knit stitches. 1, 2, 3, because that is our border. Now let's just have a look at what that has done. It's hard to see, but you can see there's a little purl bump just there. That's where we put our purl stitch in. And that purl bump is that purl bump. So that's at the very beginning of our pattern. So let's work row 4. So we're going to do row 4 when we're going to work on the wrong side, which is purl. So we work our 3 garter stitch stitches for the border, and then we come here and then we're going to purl until we get to these 2 dashes. Now, if you've got a dash, it's a purl on the right side and a knit on the wrong side. So on this purl row, we're going to purl to here, and then these 2 dashes become knit stitches, and then purl to the end. So let's do that. So we begin with 3 knit stitches, which is our garter stitch border. And then bring the yarn to the front, and we're going to purl, going from left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches. So we're going to purl 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we have a knit, purl, knit. So these 2 dashes are telling us to do the reverse of what this side is, and we're on the wrong side. So this is knit, purl, knit. So I'm going to take the yarn to the right the way round to the back of the work. I'm going to knit, bring it round again to the front to purl, and then take it round again to the back to knit. Now I'm going to bring the yarn right back again to purl the rest of this row. So we purl until the last 3 stitches, and then we have the garter stitch border. So I'm going to purl. And when you get into the swing of this, I promise you, you'll whiz along through your hearts. And the star square is done in the same way as this, but we'll come to that later. So we've come to the last 3 stitches. I'm going to take the yarn around to the back, and then we're going to knit those 3 stitches. Let's turn that round. So can you see? We have the beginnings on the right side. You can see this little tiny V that's coming with the purl stitches. that are showing up on the right side at the beginning of the heart. Let's work row 5. So row 5, the 5 is over here on the right hand side. That means we're working from the right to the left. So we start over here, we've got 3 stitches of our garter stitch border, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 knit stitches, because we're on the right side, and then purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, and then the rest is knit. So let's begin. 3 stitches for the garter stitch border, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 knit stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, here we are. This is a purl, so I'm going to bring the yarn forward, purl the stitch. The next one is a knit. Take the yarn to the back and knit. The next one is a purl. Bring the yarn to the front and purl. The next one is a knit. So take the yarn around to the back for a knit. And the last one there, is a purl. Bring the yarn to the front, purl the stitch, and then we're going to knit to the last 3 stitches. So there we are, your row 5. We're going to knit to the last 3 stitches and then knit 3 on the end. So let's have a look at how this looks. Knit to the last 3. Those are knit stitches. And let's just have a look at that. Again, you can see the little V there of the bottom of the heart emerging. So I'm going to turn around and we're going to work row 6. So row 6, we're working on a wrong side row. This is a purl row, the back of the stockinette or stocking stitch. So we're working from left to right. Now you might find it easy to put a piece of paper here or to pop a needle there. Some people use a piece of washi tape to just stick along so they can keep moving it up the chart so you know exactly where you are. But a piece of paper will do just fine. And here we are with row 6. We're starting over here on the left. So we have the 3 stitches of garter stitch and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 before we do this little bit of purling. So let's begin with that. So we're going to do 3 stitches for the border, and then because we're at the back of the work on the wrong side, we're going to bring the yarn to the front, and now we're going to purl 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 purls, and then we have this alternating again, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, where we're on a purl row. So where you see a dash, that means it's going to be a knit stitch. So we're going to bring the yarn to the front and we're going to go knit, purl, take the yarn to the back, knit, purl, and then we're going to do knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. So knit, purl, knit, purl, and a knit. Now we bring the yarn back to the front of the work and we're going to purl 6 stitches to the end of the row and then do 3 garter stitches there. So I'm going to purl to the last 3, there we are, the last 3, bring the yarn to the back and then knit the last 3 And now you can really start to see that little heart appearing. Let's have a look at row 7. Here is row 7. It's a right side row. Number 7 is on the right hand side, so we're working from the right to the left. So we begin with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 knit stitches. So we have the garter stitch ridge, then 5 stitches, and then we work into our purl knit, purl knit, purl knit, purl knit, purl. Now, one of the things you could do is you could write on the chart. You might want to go through this chart before you even start and put a K or a P so you know which stitch you're going to do. And that can be really helpful. And you also remember that this on numbers on the right hand side is the right side, and you're working from right to left, and then on this left hand side you're working on the wrong side row from left to right. So let's start over here. So we've got 3 garter stitch stitches, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until we begin the pattern. So 1, 2, 3 for our garter stitch ridge, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 knit stitches. Here we are. So we're going to work purl knit, purl knit, purl knit, purl knit, purl. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 purls there. So I bring the yarn to the front of the work for the purl, purl, bring the yarn to the back for the knit, bring it back to the front for the next purl, take it round for the knit, bring it to the front for a purl, round to the back for a knit, round to the front for a purl, round to the back for a knit, and the last one is a purl. Take it round to the back again, and then we work the 5 stitches that are left, and then 3 for the border. Now you're going to carry on working like this for the duration of the chart. And when you've worked the whole of the chart, and I'll just show you there, you can see, there you go, that's row 7 has brought the purl bumps right up there. And as you carry on working, this is what happens. So that heart is replaced onto your knitting in purl bumps and knit V's. So it just produces the most brilliant texture. And it's just such a lovely way to put a motif into some plain knitting like that. So when you've finished the chart, so you've done all of the work up to here, then you follow right the way up to the top with the knit and purl rows. Is still working in stocking stitch or stockinette to take you up to the top. And then when you finish this chart, you work another 4 rows of garter stitch and then cast off. And so that is how we work the heart. So that is how we work this lovely textured heart, just using knit and purl stitches. We're going to use this technique again a little bit later in the Knitalong, where we're going to make a star. Happy knitting!